mess, but anyway, now I start recording. Don't worry.
Thank you.
My main objective also, I want you to prepare you to pass the ISO 27001 lead implementer certification exam. I don't know if you are familiar with this certification exam or not. This ISO, we have certification exams. It's called lead implementer, lead auditors, and a bunch of certificate which is available from the ISO. If you will attend this course with me and another course for the theory, and I hope that you will have enough information about the theory from your courses in university, then this means that you will be able to pass the lead implementer certification exam. Anyway, if you are interested to pass the ISO 271 lead implementer certification exam, please contact me and I will tell you exactly what do you require to pass these exams. Finally, we want to mentor the trainees for the IT security fields. Mentor you in the IT security field. IT security field, it's very simple, although it's not easy, but I don't want to say it's complicated. It's sophisticated. It's not complicated. It's very easy. And if you follow the professional methodology and the framework, which it can simplify this, you will find life very easy and you can go through it with a bright future. Okay. What is our roles and responsibilities? Of course, please feel free to ask anytime. Raise your question. If I'm not able to answer it because of the time, I will take it as a note and I will reply to you on your email, or I will reply it next day in the introduction and so on. Then please, my point here, please, whatever, any question, just raise it. It's very important. I don't want you to say, okay, I understand this 50%. No, I don't want to have 50%, because if you will have 50% on slide number 1, then slide number 2, it will be 40, slide number 10, it will be 0. And this is not our expectation. My expectation that you will understand the topic in very clear understanding. And we will answer all your questions. Even if you don't have the time, I will answer it through the email, WhatsApp, or after we get the approval from the university, we can make a session for 2 hours to answer all your questions. I will arrange this with Professor Ahmed. Then if he agreed that we can have a session for all your questions after the course, we will work on this task after the approval of the university. The second point, to share your experience. Don't say that we don't have experience, we are students. No, I am quite sure that you have a lot of experience from your questions, from your colleagues, from your studies, from your things, and we can share it together with my experience as well. Training evaluation, it's very important for me and for you, because the training evaluation, this it will be by the end of the training. I will send URL for Professor Ahmed, when he can distribute it for all of you. We are looking to improve our training performance and level, and this is a win-win relation. We want to improve our services for ourselves and for your service, because if it's improved, then this means that you will get more benefit in the next training, which you will attend with IT certificate. We will have a recorded video, will be uploaded to YouTube channel, but you will not be able to access it except if you are using the email, or to log into YouTube with the email, which will be provided by Professor Ahmed. You will not be able to access it without logging with email provided by Professor Ahmed, because you know these training courses usually we are provided to the market by cost, And for UBM, we are provided for free. Then we have to protect our investment. And this is the reason why we publish it on private YouTube channel. As I mentioned, please don't hesitate to contact me offline, by phone, by WhatsApp, by email. I provide you my information, and please feel free to collect it again from Professor Ahmed if you require it. Okay, the training courses, it will be for 3 hours. We will have 3 sessions, not 2 sessions, 3 sessions. We will have 55 minutes, then we'll have 5 minutes break, 55 minutes, 5 minutes break, and we will stop for prayer times. We will stop for prayer times. We will try to align the prayer time, especially for Maghrib, in the break time, inshallah. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Just raise your question. Of course, I don't think that I want to go through this slide after the introduction, which Professor Ahmed make it, but just I will go through it very quickly. This is myself. I am working in this field since 1991. I am working even in Saudi Arabia since 1991. I work in the networking, data networking till 2000. And I started security field in year 2000 when Saudi Arabia, they announced the internet connection. I have some certificates like CISSP, Security Plus, CEH, BMP, ISO 27001, CREST, CCSB, a bunch of certificates. If you are interested in, I can share it with you later. I am working as a senior security and infrastructure architect in SABIC, and these are my previous positions in Saudi Arabia, and these are a bunch of the certificates which I am handling right now. If you are interested in any of these certificates, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I can give you enough and full detailed information about these certificates and how you can achieve. Especially, there will be some certificates require a specific number of years to be experienced. Okay, I don't think that we will have the time to introduce yourself, but I think all of you are members of UBM, and almost you know each other. The only person is foreign here, it's myself, and I think I introduced myself to you now. Then we can skip this slide. Okay. Any questions before starting the materials? Do you have any questions or any clarification before starting? Okay. Our workshop consists of 10 modules. The first module, it will highlight the ISO 271 standard components itself. We will have a quick overview about the ISO 27001. Then the module number 2, it will give you an idea about the XYZ company. This is a virtual company. I want to implement the ISO 27001 in this company. Then we will go through detailed information about this company. Then I can approach this company and implement the ISO. Module number 3, it will speak about the clauses Don't worry if you don't understand the word clauses, because this we will cover it in details in module number 1, but this will explain the organization text and what are the factors affecting the organizations, internal factors, external factors, which are affecting the organization structure, the organization business, the stakeholders, and the requirements. Module number 4, we will speak about the leadership support for ISO 27001 implementation. Module number 5, we will speak about the planning for ISO 27001 planning. And mainly this, it will concentrate on the risk management part. In module number 6, we will discuss the support requirements covering the resources, competence, awareness, communication, information documentation, which these are mandatory and necessary clauses and requirements to implement ISO 27001. In module number 7, we will cover the operations, security operations. And this one of the modules which I consider is very important. And during the module, I will tell you why operations, it's one of the most important modules in not ISO 27001, but in security in general. We will cover also the performance evaluation in module 8 for the ISO 27001 and ISMS implementation in the organization. And we will discuss the continual improvement of the the ISMS and ISO implementation in the organizations. And finally, we will go through the security controls design, how you can design the security controls, and what are the framework which you can consider in security designs, including the enterprise architecture or the security architecture. Okay. Information Security Management Systems, ISMS. I want to make it very clear to avoid any misunderstanding. What we have here, something called Information Security Management System. Forget about ISO right now. What is ISMS? What is ISMS? ISMS, it's a systematic approach for managing and protecting organizations' information. This is very simple. In your organization, you have information, you have processes, you may have data, you may have files, whatever the type of the information you have, and you want to protect this information, and you want to protect this information and manage it. Then the ISMS concept, as we mentioned, it is a systematic approach for managing and protecting organization information. Okay? It is very important to understand that it's managing and protecting organization information. Okay, fine. What is the ISMS consists of? Is it a system? Is it a software? It's hardware? What is it? What is the ISMS? How we can say that the organization, we have an ISMS? ISMS, number one, you must have policies. You must have policies. You must have standards. You must have procedures. Then these are the basics which you require to have an ISMS or Information Security Management Systems. Also, you must have described some security roles. Sorry, this is not roles, it's rules. Oh, it's O, not you. Security rules in your organization. What are the security roles in your organization? You may have a data owner, you may have data custodian, you may have data user, and so on. And this, it must be very clear. And we must have technical and other types of controls. These controls, it can be technical controls, it can be administrative controls, it can be management controls, and so on. And types of controls, it will be covered in the last module, in module number 10. It's very important to highlight that in ISO 27001, we are not concentrating only on the digital information. Then, if you have any information written on a paper, or it may be stored as a video, or stored as a voice, or it may be a meeting with the CEO, and the CEO, he mentioned some important news and information, and all this information are recorded as a video or or MP4 or whatever, then this could be considered as a type of data as well. Then when we say ISMS, it's not only responsible for protecting digital information, it's protecting information in general. And this is one of the entrapment questions which you will find in some courses. The question, it will tell you when you are a lead implementer and when you went for an organization to check the ISO, you were surprised because you did not find any computer in this organization at all. Do you think that this company can achieve the ISO 27001, although they don't have any network or digital representative of the data? Most of us, unfortunately, say no, because we don't have a network. But this, of course, is the wrong answer, because the right answer, yes, we can, because by the end of the day, we have some information. This information, it may be stored not only in not in a digital data, but it can be stored in whatever tapes. Sorry, not tapes. I mean, in a paper. It can be in books, whatever the type of the storage of this information. Then, as recap, the ISM, it is our system for managing and protecting organization information, because ISO does not have any meaning without the ISMS, because ISO, by the end of the day, it's process, the requirements to certify the ISMS. ISO 27001, it is a process to certify the ISMS. When the organization, we have ISMS, we want to prove that we are compliant with the international standards, then the external audit, they will come and review your ISMS implementation in your organization according to the requirements of the ISO. If they are matching, then you are certified. If it's not, then this means that you have to do some more exercises to be certified in the future for the ISO 27001. Okay. Here we have something called, I don't know if you hear it before or not, BDCA. Do you know what is this?
This is the steps to making the ISO plan development. I think we read about it before, the PDCA.
Okay, BDCA, this cycle, not only for ISO, BDCA, it's a common cycle. Usually we call it BDCA cycle or call it deeming cycle. Sometimes you will find in other books, I think it's maybe the British one, I'm not sure, but sometimes we call it deeming cycle. And this, what is the deeming cycle? This is usually related to continuous improvement. It's usually related to continuous improvement. What is it? First thing here, it is the plan. P, it stands for planning. But you have to develop your objectives and what are the required results. Make the planning for the objectives or the intended objective which you are looking for. Then step number 2, it will be the do. You have to implement these plans. You have to implement this plan. And let's say that I want to go on vacation, for example. Then I said, okay, I want to go to Egypt and spend 1 month in Egypt. I want to go to Alexandria and I want to go to other cities in Egypt. This is a planning. When we do, this means that I will go and have my ticket, take the plane, go to Egypt, make a reservation for the journeys and the trips which I want to attend, and I will go through all the phases which I planned for. Then in the second or the third one, you will find the check. I have to evaluate the implemented steps which with the objectives which I was planning for. Do they match? I planned for some specific objectives. Let's say that I'm expecting to achieve 5 objectives. Okay. After I spent my vacation and I returned back to Saudi Arabia, I compared what did I do with the planned objectives. Are they matching? Yes, they are matching. Great. Then I did an excellent job. No, they did not matching. I was planning to visit 4 or 5 cities in Egypt, but unfortunately I was able to visit only 2. Then this means that I have some problems here. I have to check the timetable. I may have to check my budget. What are the reasons that I was not able to attend or visit all the cities which I was planning to? This is the phase of the check. And finally, you will find the step for the act, that you have to improve it, improve your planning. We'll say, okay, I think I made a mistake because I was planning to visit 5 cities, but the budget which I have it was small. It allowed me only to visit 2 cities. Well, I have next time to improve my planning and make enough budget or enough time or enough resources and so on. This is the BDCA or Deming cycle, and this is to be considered as our reference in the ISMS implementation. And even, inshallah, in the future, if you have the chance to attend the ISO 27005 for the risk management, again, we are considering the same concept for the BDCA. Okay, any questions before going further?
I have one question generally about ISO and the creation of policies in Saudi Arabia. I have a question I asked earlier in the chat around collecting legal information in Saudi Arabia. What is the main source for cyber law and like the cyber regulations in Saudi Arabia? Where can we read about it, and what sources do we have?
Excellent. This is an excellent question. Okay. First of all, Saudi Arabia, we have their own standards. It's called NCA. NCA, National Cyber Security Authority. National Cyber Security Authority. And this is considered as the standards for Saudi Arabia. This standard, it will be valid for 2 main, what we can say, categories of customers. Number 1, government sector, and something called CNI. CNI, which is the Common National Infrastructure. Common National Infrastructure. What is CNI? CNI, like SABIC, Aramco, these are, we are not a government, but it's important for Saudi Arabia economic, and it's considered as a government and dealt as a government. When these two sectors for CNI and government, they have to comply with the NCA, which is the National Cybersecurity Authority. If you want to read about this, just go to Google, type NCA, Saudi Arabia NCA, or National Cybersecurity Authority. You will find, I think, the website, their website, you will find some standards. We have first standard, it's called ECC, ECC, this essential controls, and you will find another document called CCC, which is the cloud controls, and you will find another document for asset management. I think we have 4 documents or 5 documents, I'm not sure, but mainly these are the documents which served as references for us in SABIC as ECC, CCC, and asset management, and these are the references for Saudi Arabia cybersecurity standards. Did I answer the question?
There is another one, the critical system cybersecurity controls.
You are right. Yes.
CSCC.
You are right. You have the critical systems, you have the CCC, you have the ECC, and also you have something called asset management. I don't know if this one is published published over the site, because this is new, just we receive it in SABIC as a formal, informal document. I don't know if it's published or not. But anyway, if you want to reach to Saudi Arabia standards, this is the site which you have to follow. And by the way, just I want you to know that even in NCA, they mentioned that the reference for all these documents, it's based on the ISO 27001 and the NIST. 27001 is international standard, NIST it is the standard for America, USA. Okay? And thank you for your question.
Mr. Osama, I just do have a question about the previous slide. Okay, you just explained the PDCA, the Plan, Do, Check Act, but what's the difference between the Plan, Do, Check Act and the Plan, Do, Study Act, the PDSA?
We are both the same.
Both similar.
Let me clarify. You are asking what is the difference between BDCA and BSCA? Am I right?
Between PDCA and PDSA, Plan, Do, Study Act.
Yeah, study and check, they are both the same.
Mm-hmm.
But usually the standards one, frankly speaking, I did not meet the BDSA. I usually in ISO, in security management in general, I used to see the BDCA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay, clear.
And again, if you have any question, please don't hesitate to raise it. Even if I find that the time it will not be enough to go through all the questions, I will take your email and send it to me on the email, and I will reply all your questions, or we make another session. Please try to utilize this session as much as you can. Okay. ISMS, it is the systematic approach to manage and protect your information. Now, congratulations. You have your organization, you have information, you have a professional ISMS to protect your data, to secure your data, to share your data. Now, you want to prove this for your customers. You want to prove it for your partners. You want to prove it for your vendors that you are secure. You are providing secure infrastructure. Then, how you can prove this? You can prove it by utilizing the ISO 27001 and to certify your ISMS implementation. What is ISO 27001? ISO 27001, it's not a system, it's nothing. It's a group, what we can say, requirements you have for designing, implementing, operating, maintaining the ISMS. Then, if you have the ISMS, we have some group of requirements, as we will see within the next few slides. And if you are doing your SMS in a professional way, then you can be certified against the ISO 27001 requirements. What are these requirements? We will see this within the next few slides. Okay. The ISO 27001, the original one, it was published in the 2005 and it's revised in 2013. This is the reason why you will find this 2013. This usually in ISO, this it will represent the version of the year. In ISO 27005, you will find this 2018. It's revised in 2018. The ISO 27001, it's revised in 2013. According to my information, we are preparing a new update, but it's not yet announced at all. Okay, what are the benefits of implementing the ISO 27001 in your organization? To implement ISO 27001, it will be consumed for some resources, some money, and you need between 3 months to 1 year to implement the ISO 27001 based on the size of your organization. Number one, the benefits you have, it will improve your information security in the organization. Because ISO, it mandates you must have security rules, you must have responsibilities, you must have clear policies, you must have clear procedures, you must have clear standards, and so on. Okay, let me ask you one question, and please let's try to answer it very quickly then to save some time. Do you know what is the difference between policy, procedure, and standard? Again, what is the difference between policy, standard, and procedure?
If I can answer to it.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Policy in general is like a rule or and announcing what you are allowed and what you must do and what you cannot do. Procedure tells you step by step how to do something. Like a policy will tell you you have to do this. The procedure will tell you step by step how to do this thing. And standard regulates the baseline for anything. Like the baseline for a password that you can place is that it should be 8 characters long and it should contain special characters. This is the difference between policy, standard, and procedure.
Excellent. Excellent. This is the right answer. And the gentleman now, he gave us the right answer. Let me put it very clear. The policy, it will be, gentlemen, in the security management means that the management intent for something. Management intent for something. What is the management objectives of some topic of security, for example? What is the management objective of security for the organization? Then this means that it is a policy. This is the reason why the policy, it's owned by the top management. Policies are owned by top management, and we will see later, I think in the last day or maybe fourth day, I am not sure, type of policies which we will discuss. Then the policy, it will give you high level requirements. For example, we want to protect the data on rest and in transient. We want to enable compliance with national and international laws and regulations, and so on. A standard, it will give you detailed information about the policy. Policy, it was developed by the management. Standard, it will say, okay, in the policy, it's mentioned that we want to protect the data and on rest and in transient. Then the standard, it will say, okay, if you want to protect the data on rest, then this means that you have to use the IPsec protocol to encrypt all the data on the storage, and the key, it must be 1K, for example, or 2K. The key, it should be changed every 3 months or whatever. If it's in transient, then this means that we have to use the TLS and SSL, and the data, it should be encrypted in this way, and so on. Then the standard, it will give you the details and the requirements. Because of that standard, you will call it document of requirements. Usually, standard, we call it document of requirements. And procedure, as your colleague, he mentioned now, that this is step-by-step detailed information. You want to protect the data, okay, how you can configure IPsec on the firewall or on the storage, and how to enable the key, and how to implement or apply the PKI, and so on. Okay, thank you for your answer. It was a professional one. Right. Then now improving the organization information security, because we will have roles and responsibilities, clear roles and responsibilities. We'll have clear policies, standards, procedures, and so on. Point number 2, you will be compliance, because one of the most important things for organizations, I want to be compliant with the NCA, I want to be compliant with GDPR, I want to be compliant with the CSS star, with the BCI, DSS, and so on. Again, I will ask a question. I know that the time, it's not, the time it's against us, but I don't want to bypass this information. I want to make sure that you got the full detailed information. Do you know what is the difference between GDPR, BCI, DSS, CSS star? What are these standards?
This is the first time we have heard of it.
Okay, no problem. Let me tell you about it. Okay, there is one point, instead of saying gentlemen, I will say my friends, because friend, it will cover male and females, okay? My friends, I think you have to differentiate between 2 different points. What is the difference between GDPR and ISO implementation? Anyone know? GDPR and ISO. Okay, GDPR, it's a law. It's a law. What do you mean by law? If you are not compliant with GDPR requirements, you are against the law. You have to pay €1 million or 4% of total revenue. But and it's mandatory. I don't have here a choice to comply or not. If the data, GDPR, this is the rules, European rules, which protecting the privacy information of the users, European users. Then if this data, it's leaked from the organization or it's used against their approval or consent, then this means that it's leaked or you are not compliant with the GDPR rules, then you have to pay this amount. This is a law by court. ISO, it's volunteer. ISO, it's volunteer. To implement it in your organization, it will be good because it will give you a good image and reputation in the market, and it will improve your organization business and give you a competitive edge in the market. But it's not against any law or regulation. It's not against any law or regulation. It's a volunteer. If you will do it, it will be for your benefit. If you did not do it, no one will ask you why you are not implementing the ISO at all. Then, when we will say what is GDPR, as we mentioned that GDPR bits the law to protect the privacy information for European citizens. PCI DSS, it's a standard applied for organizations who are making online payment by using Visa and MasterCard, credit card in general, in credit card. If you want to use the credit card, you have to comply with the PCI DSS standard. If you did not comply with that, then this means that you will not be able to use the credit cards in your payment activities. CSA star, this the cloud certification. It's a cloud certification, and it's issued by CSA, which is the Cloud Security Alliance. Cloud Security Alliance, CSA, it's a non-profit organization. It's responsible for developing security standards for the cloud usage. Okay, then the second benefit of the compliance, of the benefit, the ISO 27001 compliance, it's the, sorry, I think I got tired and I started to say wrong statements. I mean, the second benefit of ISO 27001 implementation, it's the compliance, to be compliant with the 27001, 27005, GDPR, CSA, BCI, and so on. Another benefit to differentiate yourself from competitors. I think you are familiar with this. You will find some organization, we are saying we are ISO 2 quality, we are ISO 9001 quality certified, or we are ISO 27001 certified. And this, of course, it will be valuable for the organization because it's proof that we have a professional ISMS process, which it can protect the data and protect their processes and activities. One of the most important benefits, the lowering of incident cost. Because even if you are implementing ISO 27001, this does not mean that you will not face any incident. Of course, you may face some incidents, but the ISO, it will help you to minimize the downtime. It will help you to detect the incident very quickly, to respond for it very quickly, to recover and fill over the services very quickly, to find the problem cause very quickly. This is the benefits which you can achieve by implementing the ISO 27001. And finally, of course, it will be a better organization because we will have a clear roles and responsibilities for the security rules. Okay. We will. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry for interruption. I just do have a question.
Sure.
About the GDPR and ISO. Does the ISO 27001 cover GDPR, or just GDPR is another standard?
Excellent. Excellent. This is a good question. And I think the answer, you will find it here. I think I did not... sorry, here. What we are saying here, ISO does not include all information security requirements from local laws and regulations, in particular companies. Saudi Arabia, we have the NCA. Europe, we have GDPR. US, we have NEST. Therefore, to be compliant with all legalization, an organization will need to implement additional safeguards and controls. This is an excellent question. If you are ISO 27001, it does not mean that you are fully GDPR compliant. No, because in ISO we have 27001 for ISMS, for Information Security Management System. If you want for privacy, you have to add another standard called ISO IEC 27701. 27701. This, it will protect the privacy information. It's called PIMS, Privacy Information Management Systems. This, it will be a part of the 27001. Yani in other words, 27001 and 27701 they will be integrated together to protect the ISMS and the privacy information. Then, when we are saying that you are ISO 27001, it does not mean that you are GDPR compliant or you are NCA compliant. You have to check the controls and requirements for the other standards. But what we are saying, the ISO, it will be very helpful because you will find a lot of objectives and of clauses which are common between the all standards. Then if you are implementing ISO, you may compliant with the GDPR 70% or 75%, and with the CSA maybe 90% and so on. Then ISO, it will improve the compatibility with the other standards, but it does not mean that you are fully compliant with it. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yes, clear. And the regulation between the NCA and GDPR.
Sorry, your voice is broken. Can you repeat the question again?
Or, okay, my voice was, you mentioned the GDPR and the NCA. What's like the main difference? Why do countries prefer NCA like Saudi Arabia and European Union countries prefer GDPR?
NCA, this is the authority which is responsible for developing security and cyber security standards for Saudi Arabia. This yes. NCA is responsible for NCA, which is National Cybersecurity Authority. This is responsible for developing standards for Saudi Arabia, cybersecurity standards for Saudi Arabia. Why we have conflict, not conflict, but we have different flavors for standards, because unfortunately, you know, whatever any American standard, it's not being liked in Europe, and Europe, we don't like the standards in Saudi Arabia. And sorry, I mean, we don't like the standards in America. And frankly speaking, especially for privacy, you will find the GDPR standard, it's more rigid and professional than the standards of United States. Because United States or America, we don't have a rigid standard. We have different standards for privacy. It depends upon the, what we can say, the field of the organization. Yani, for example, if the organization protecting, we have to protect the health information, then you will have a standard called HIPAA, HIPAA. If they have a standard for protecting financial statements, then we have SOX. If you want to protect the information of credit card, then you have standard called PCI DSS and so on. This for America. But for Europe, in Europe, we are provisional. We have a rigid standard, which is GDPR, and it covers whatever any organization and whatever the field of its business in the market. By the way, you will find most, I don't want to say all, but I will say most of the standards for privacy, it's developed from the GDPR. From GDPR. And if you are familiar with GDPR, then this means that you will be familiar with 95 or maybe more than 95% of the security standards all over the world. The only difference, it will be how to implement the methodology. And for example, let me give you an example. In Europe, they are saying if you want to be registered as a controller or processor, just you have to register your name with the government. But in Egypt, for example, when they developed their standard, they said, okay, it's not just only development. We have to pay yearly fees. It would cost some values of US dollars, whatever the value. But this is the only difference between both of them. When technical, it will be the same. As a standard, it will be the same. But the methodology, it will be different. Okay?
So in other words, GDPR is the baseline.
Yes. Yes.
Clear.
Okay. Now we will start the ISO 27001 standard. The ISO 27001 standard, it consists of two different components, something called clauses and annex. Clauses and annex. We will start with the clauses. We will continue, gentlemen, till Maghrib prayer. I know that we have a time difference between, because I am based in Eastern Province and you are based in Medina, then I think we have 40 minutes difference. I will have a break for 5 or 10 minutes after 10 minutes for my prayer, and I will give you 10 minutes for your time. In your time when a Maghrib prayer in Medina, then you can pray, inshallah. Okay. Let's start now for some time until the Maghrib prayer in Eastern Province time. It will be announced. ISO 27001, it has two different components. What are these components? We have the clauses and we have something called annex. Clauses, these are requirements. These are called requirements. We have 10 clauses. We have 10 clauses. From clause 1 to clause 3, it describes the ISO 27001 standard itself. It will describe the ISO 27001 standard document itself. Then from clause 4 to 10, these represent the requirements which you have to comply with, then you will be certified as 27001. The other component is the annex. The other component is the annex. What is the annex? The annex is a simple representation of the controls. They are 14 sections. We are divided into 14 sections, named from A5 into A18, and they consist of 114 controls. 114 controls. We will speak about all this information. This is the clauses and the annex A. This it will be our reference in our trainings. But today we will concentrate on the meaning of the clauses and the annex as a theory. I want you to understand the standard, and starting from tomorrow, inshallah, we'll teach you how to implement the clauses and annex in the XYZ company organization. Okay. As we mentioned, the clauses from 0 to 3 describe the standard itself. Clause number 0 describes the general overview of the standard. Clause number 1, the scope of the standard 27001. Clause number 2, the references or normative references for the standard. And finally, terms and conditions in clause number 3. It will be nice to read. It will be nice to read. If you want to be as implementer, it will be nice to read. It has some information. It will be very helpful. It will help you to understand the standard. But the main important clauses, which you have to be very clear and to understand it very well, it starts from clause number 4 till clause number 7. As you can see, in blue, the name of the clause. Clause number 4, it's called context of the organization. And context of the organization, you will find in each clause, you will find in sub-clauses. you will find sub-clauses. As you can see here, the clause number 4, it's called context of the organization. 4.1, what are the internal and external factors which are affecting the context of the organization? 4.2, what are we interested, who are the interested parties and what are their requirements from the ISMS in your organization. Then 4.3, what is the ISMS scope? Question, my friends, what is the meaning of context? Do you know what is the meaning of context?
Context is the surrounding environment or the surrounding scenario for something. Like the context of an issue is the things surrounding that issue, for example.
You are right. There are circumstances and factors which are affecting the organization and how we are doing business. And we will cover this when we, tomorrow, yes, inshallah, we will speak about the context of the organization. We will go through detailed information. Who are the interested parties? What are the internal factors, external factors affecting the business, affecting the structure? And as you will see in the future that we will change the structure of the organization based upon 27001 requirements. Clause number 5, it's speaking about the leadership commitment. It's very important to have a leadership commitment for the ISO 27001 support. If we don't have a commitment from the leadership for the 27001, it will not succeed. Really, it will not succeed. From our practical experience, leadership management, it's mandatory. It's very important. When the 27001, they said it's mandatory and we have to prove it. How we can prove it? Number 1, they have some conditions for the, as you can see in phase number 5.1, leadership and commitment. We have management, we have to develop the security policy, we have to define roles and responsibilities. And we will speak about this in more details within the next few slides. Clause number 6 is the planning, and planning, it's mainly speak about the risk management and what are the actions to address the risks and the opportunities and the security of what is the security objectives of the organization. Process number or clause number 7, it is the support. What is the support required for implementing the ISO 27001? You will find we need some resources, we need competence, we need awareness, we need communication program, we need documented information. These are the sub-clauses which required for the support of ISO 27001 implementation. Clause number 8, it will cover the operations, security operations, and it will cover the planning and controls, operation planning and controls. It will cover the risk assessment process and risk treatment plan. Clause number 9, performance evaluation, how you can evaluate the ISO and ISMS implementation. You need monitoring, measurement standards, you need internal audits, you need management reviews, and we will go through all these details in the next few slides. The last clause required is clause number 10 for continuous improvement. Can you remember when we say that the ISO 27001 ISMS is based on the Deming cycle or BDCA. Then this means that you have to plan, you have to implement or to do, then you have to monitor, and finally you have to improve the implementation. These are the clauses for the standard 27001, and we will go through these standards in more details now after a few slides. If we want to split the clauses of 27001 on the BDCA cycle, you will find, I will go back when you can remember, you will find the context of the organization, leadership commitment, planning, support. It will go under the plan phase. And the operation, of course, it will be the do phase. The clause number 9, performance evaluation, it will go for the check. And finally, the clause number 10, it will go to the act. Clause number 10, it will be the continual movement. Then this will be the distribution of the ISO 27001 clauses across the Plan, Do, Check, Act certificate. This is very important to understand that if you want to comply with the ISO 27001, you have to start with clause number 4 till clause number 10. You have to make sure that the ISMS is in your organization matching these requirements 100%, then you will be able to be certified. Okay. Now we want to start the process of the clauses itself. You remember when we said that we will go through the clauses, but if you don't mind, gentlemen, I request 10 minutes break just for Maghrib prayer in Eastern Province, and we will start after 10 minutes. I will initiate counter, downtime counter, and when it will reach to 0, immediately I will start. I hope to see all of you after we return. If you have any questions, please prepare your questions. And again, I will share my contact information when I start. Then you can contact me through WhatsApp or email or whatever the method which you want to communicate if you have any questions or clarification. Okay, any questions?
Dr. Osama, do you mind if you share the slides with us?
Unfortunately, I will not be able, because as I told you, that this is copyrighted, and I'm not sure that if I'll be able to share it. But you will have the recording, and it can be utilized as a reference for you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your time, and inshallah, 10 minutes, and I will start. Thank you for your time.
Okay, guys, before you leave, can you please write your names in the chat box so we can be sure that who is there?